Hello and welcome to this demonstration of using artificial intelligence with files.com. In this demonstration, I'm going to be showing you how we can use artificial intelligence as a digital assistant for us. We've connected AI with files.com so that the AI is aware of what's going on in files.com and my files.com site, and we can have it perform tasks for us on our behalf. All right, let's jump into the demo. Uh, I'm going to set the stage first. So this first window you're seeing is my web browser that's logged into my files.com site. So you can see I've got a bunch of folders here. It's somewhat cluttered, deliberately so, because I want to have information in there for the AI to see and to interact with. So this site has a whole bunch of stuff in it that the AI can interact with it. So that's the first screen. Now, the second app or the second screen I'm going to use is my AI application. And here it is. This is the Claude AI desktop app. It's this orangish window. It looks like a chat window because it is. Everything I type in here is me interacting via chat to the artificial intelligence. Now, for this demo, I'm going to be using this Claude desktop app because it's convenient and it's running here right there on my screen. But bear in mind, you can do this from anywhere. You could use a mobile app, you could use an AI app on your phone, a desktop, a tablet. It doesn't really matter, but just for this, just know that I'm using Claude for convenience, but it could be any AI in any method could be connected to talk to files.com. All right. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that are security conscious, bear in mind that the AI can only do what I allow it to. So all our security is still in place. The AI can only act on the in the role that I've given it. So you have full control over what it can and cannot do on your files.com site. All right, let's start with something simple. So I've connected AI with files.com with my site. So let's start by just asking it some stuff about my site. So I'll ask it to go get me some information and present that information to me. Now, excuse me, for this demo, I'm going to be using my users. So if I go over to my site and click on the users page, you can see that I have a number of user accounts that already exist on my site. If I come back to the AI chat window, I can now ask the AI how many users are in my site. Now notice I'm being very ambiguous. So it's connecting to my site, there it goes, and I can see that it's replying. It says, hey, you have 24 users in your site. So it's answered my question. But the interesting thing about AI is it likes to infer stuff and go a step further, so like a good assistant would. It's gone and it said, okay, of those users, so many use this type of authentication, so many of them are billable versus non-billable, so many of them belong to these groups. So what it's done is it hasn't just answered my question, but it's gone a step further and said, based on the information I got back, would you like to know some additional information? So that's kind of nice. It answered my question, but it went above and beyond and provided some additional information to me. Now, that's really nice, but I'm kind of intrigued by this last sentence. It's saying, hey, would you like me to create a visual report? Yes, I would. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask the AI to create a visual report for me. So I type in, create a report, include some charts and graphs. Now, notice that in this prompt, I'm being again fairly ambiguous in that I'm not stating what kinds of charts and graphs I want it or what the data is. I just say, I want a graphical report, go figure it out by yourself. Now, what it's doing is on the left side of the app, you can see the chat window. This is where it's replying to me via chat. But on the right side of the window, it's in real time building the report for me. So you can see the code fly by as it builds the report in real time. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not that great at building reports. I'd have to, if I was doing this manually, I'd have to log into my files.com site, export the information either as a CSV or by eyeballing it. I'd put it into Excel, I'd massage the data, and if I was any good at Excel, I'd probably making some pivot tables and some nice charts and some graphs. But the point is, there's a whole bunch of manual effort in creating a nice report based on the data. And I would have to go and do all that and make that. Now, if I was great at Excel, that would still take me an hour or two. But I'm not that great. It would probably take me more like a whole day to do this. But look, in the time I've been speaking, it's built the report for me. Look, it has charts showing the differentiation between user types, admin versus regular, differentiation between the authentication methods of my users, the billable versus non-billable. And look, the group distribution, again, which users are in which group. And I wasn't expecting this, but look, there's even a user creation timeline. It's telling me when in the timeline these users were created, as well as when they last logged in. So the today versus the last 30 or 90 days and never logged in. That's kind of useful information. It's showing me the distribution of which protocols the users are allowed to connect with. And finally, some management types, self-managed versus externally, like which ones are coming from an SSO system. And the interesting thing is, again, it's derived meaning. It didn't just present the charts, but it's giving me some key findings and recommendations. And again, these are things I wouldn't have thought of, but the AI knows how to build a report, and it knows how kind of like what a good report looks like. It filters the data it gets back and presents it to me in a useful format. So I can export this, I can save it, I can share it with my management. And again, a report, imagine a weekly report that I would have to do, even weekly, monthly, 1 day a week, I'd have to go and manually do this. Hours of effort. My AI digital assistant was able to build this report in less than a minute. All right, that's pretty impressive, but I want to go a step further. So rather than just reading information and presenting it to me, I now want my AI to perform actions for me. So I'm going to start with something simple. You've already seen from that report that I have a number of user accounts in my site. So of course, I want to onboard a new partner by creating a new user account for them. So it's super easy. I have a partner, they need to connect to me. I'm just going to ask the AI to create a user account for them. All right, let's see that in action. So here I go, I'm in my chat window and I will type in the question, which is, or my prompt, which is create a user for me. Now, again, notice I'm being deliberately ambiguous. And look, the AI knows what information it needs. So it says, okay, based on your files.com site, I need these 4 pieces of information in order to create an account. So please provide those 4 pieces of info for me. So I do that. I paste in the username and the account and the company name. I hit go, and there we go. The AI now has the information it needs, and it says, I am now creating the user. There it goes. It says, oh, I've already created the user. And you can see it's giving me a summary. So every time it does something, the AI informs me of what it's done. Again, you can tell it to or not to. It will respond to the prompts however you want it to. But okay, so it's now created this user account for me. It's asking me if I want to do additional stuff, but you know what? No, let's go and check its work. So I go to my users tab and notice in the J's, there it is, JDO transport. And look at that. There's the information that I provided to the AI and that the AI used to create this account for me. So fantastic. It was able to perform a task on my behalf with me just answering a couple of prompts. That's really, really cool. Let's do another one of those, but something a bit different. Now, this partner account is going to be sending me files. So it's going to send me files from my partner, but I need to move those files from the folder that they land in to a destination folder where my back-end system can process it, or maybe an internal team can process it. But the point is, I need to move data from a starting folder to an end folder. So I'm going to do that as the next step of this demo. Now, one thing I want to highlight is this seems underwhelming, right? Moving from one folder to another. But I want to highlight that in files.com, those folders can exist anywhere. So they may be folders on files.com, but they could equally be folders on an S3 bucket, on a Microsoft Azure blob, on a Google Drive, on an SFTP server, on an FTP server. So It's infinitely elastic, the combinations here, and I can move data from anywhere to anywhere. But now I want my AI to do that for me. So let's do that. I'll ask the AI. So here's my site. I'm going to show you the folders that we're going to use in this demo. So if I go down to my partners folder and my fictional partner Acme, there is an inbox folder where Acme has uploaded 3 order files for me. So I want these 3 order files to be moved to my backend system. Now, my backend system in this demo is Dynamics 365. My ERP is Dynamics. Here's the ERP inbox folder, which is empty, but you can see that this folder is not in files.com. It is in Azure Blob, where my ERP lives. So I'm going to be moving stuff from my partner's inbox, their home folder, into my ERP system. All right, let's do that. So I'm going to bring up my AI chat window. Here it is. And I'm going to say to Claude, move the files in this folder to this other folder. I give it the prompt and it starts doing it. Now, here's another interesting thing about AI. It doesn't just perform the task, but it tries to perform it well. So it's checking that the folders actually exist. It's checking the contents of the folders to see what's there. It's found 3 files and it's moving the 3 files over. And you can see it's moving them in real time there. And now look at this. It's verifying that the files are actually at the destination. So it's even listing the destination and going forward. So again, as a human, I'd probably just drag and drop or select and tell them to move. But as an AI, it's checking its work as it goes, and it's making sure that there's no typos, no errors, and no mistakes in the things it's doing. So it says it's done it. It says there's no files remaining. All 3 files have been moved. Let's go and verify that that's the case. So I go back to my ERP folder, and if I refresh the view, here we go, I'll refresh it because there's nothing in there. Now, as of a minute or a few seconds ago, those 3 orders now exist in the pickup folder. My backend system can pick up those files and process them. All right, that's pretty nice as well. My digital assistant has managed to do 2 out of 2 so far. Moving on though, what about complex actions? So let's say that you have a particular process that's made up of multiple steps. Well, it's interesting you should say that because you can train your AI on what your business process is. Just explain it to the AI, and the AI will then know and learn how to perform that step. So I'm going to use a fairly common business process here. So for this demonstration, I'm going to show you kind of what it's doing, what's going to happen. So I have trading partners and I need to receive files from them, send them to my backend system, process them, and send them back out or place them, in a pickup folder for my partner to come and collect the files. So on the left-hand side, you can see my backend ERP system. On the right-hand side, you can see my trading partner. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a user account for that trading partner so they can log in to my system. The second thing I'm going to do is create a home folder so that they have a place to upload and download their files from. I'm going to do a bit of housekeeping though. Within their home folder, I want to have 2 subfolders created, one called in and one called out. So I expect, as part of my business process, my partners to upload things into the in folder, and I expect them to collect files from the out folder. That's my business process. So these need to be created. All right. As another piece of housekeeping, all of my partners are grouped into a group called partners. So this user account needs to be added to that partner group for housekeeping. I want to create an automation within files.com so that any files that are dropped or deposited in the in folder are automatically picked up and routed to my backend system. And I want to create a corresponding outbound automation that will pick up output files from my backend system and deliver them into the out folder of my partner so that they're available for pickup. All right, so I've drawn it out. It's a fairly standard business process when you're retrieving data, processing data, and sending data back. But the point is, there are at least 7 discrete steps here, which, yes, I could do it manually. We have a web UI which makes it fairly simple to fill out the forms and hit go. But as a human being, I may miss a step, or I may make a typo, or I may forget something. So anyway, these 7 steps, ideally, I want them to be always run the same way every single time whenever I onboard a partner. So each time I do this, follow this same process. And I've taught my AI that this is my process. So let's see it in action. So I go here to my chat window and I say to the AI, add a partner to my site. Notice again, I'm being very ambiguous. And the AI says, well, to do that for your process that you've taught me, I need 2 things, the name of the partner and the backend ERP system. So I say, okay, let's say that the ERP is NetSuite and the partner name is VIP vendor. So I give it that information and it will now perform those multiple steps for me. So it says, okay, I'm deriving this information. Oh, here's what I've done. I've created their home folder. I've created some subfolders for them. I've added them to the partners group, and I've created some automations. So in the time I was speaking, it's actually done all of that work for me. So everything is ready to go. Like I said, it took me longer to explain it than the AI to actually perform its task. So let's go and check what it's done. If I go to my user table, scroll to the bottom, look, there it is. VIP vendor has an account. There's the account information that the AI has created the account with. If I go to the permissions, it set the permissions on the home folder. There it is. If I go to the groups permissions, it's added this account to the groups as well. All right. Going back to the folder, if I click through to their home folder, you'll notice the AI has created the in and the out subfolders for me. So there they are. Let's go to the groups tab and go to the partners group. And you can see that even from the groups view, you can see that the user account has been added to that group. So just double checking that there. And finally, if I go to the automations tab page, you can see that I've got 2 new automations for moving files that have been added at the bottom here. I have an automation that collects inbound files and moves them to my backend system. And I have an automation that collects outbound files from my backend system and moves them to the out folder for my partner to come and pick them up. So again, 7 steps of my business process, 7 manual steps, were performed by the AI. It checked its work, it made sure it made no mistakes, and I can pretty much be sure that there's no typos or errors in it because my AI knows this process and how to perform it. That's fantastic. So something that, again, an onboarding task could take days or hours to days to weeks, depending on your partner. I was able to do that in minutes just by providing the AI with the information it needed to onboard my partner. So a task like this that's repetitive, where you do on a daily or an hourly or weekly basis, you save all of that time by having your AI digital assistant perform the task for you. All right, so to summarize what you've seen in this demo, um, we have connected artificial intelligence with your files.com site. We've done it securely so that AI can only do what you allow it to do. We've seen that it can read from your site and provide you with information and derive meaning from that. So it can generate reports, it can deduce things from it and give you outcomes that maybe you never thought of or never expected. And it can do it quickly. It can also perform simple tasks. You saw I created a user. You saw in the complex task, it created groups and folders and things like that, automations. But the point is, anything you do manually on your files.com site or that your administrators do manually, even your users, you can perform those tasks from artificial intelligence. Again, you decide what it's allowed to do, but all of the stuff you need to have done on your site can be performed by your artificial intelligence. And best yet is if you have a business process that's not even inside files.com, It's your own business process, but it requires these tasks, multiple, multi-step or complex tasks to be performed in files.com. You can tell the AI what to do, and then when you ask it to do it, it will perform those multi-step complex tasks, and it will make sure that it's repeated efficiently and accurately without any mistakes. And if there are any mistakes, it will inform you and ask you for any missing information if it needs it to perform the tasks. All right, that concludes our demonstration. Hope you've enjoyed this. If this was a live session, we'd do a Q&A. If there's someone there in the room with you, feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, thank you for your time.